I would say most people are very open to the idea of bringing these products in, to their, and creating a lifestyle around this type of thing. And it's interesting, in all the years that I've been doing this, people that just walk in off the street and are on nothing, their levels are in the dirt, literally just in the dirt. But yet it's interesting, as I get the history and listen to them tell their story, I'm able to make some assumptions about what I think is wrong. And then when I get the labs back, it's always fascinating to see that their level is single digits when it needs to be 50 to 80. But unfortunately, this is not being checked as part of an overall wellness workup. You have to ask for it. So it's just not being done as a matter of assessing someone's overall health and well-being. Hey everybody, I'm Lucy Douglas. I'm a family nurse practitioner and owner and CEO of New Beginnings Wellness Center and Spa in Ruston, Louisiana. I want to start talking today. I'm going to do probably a couple of videos on some of my favorite micronutrients. Those things that I feel like are key in our overall health and well-being. So micronutrients, in my observation of being in private practice now for the last 8 years, it's really overlooked as far as assessing via lab values and treating that as an important part of our foundation. Because I can throw all kinds of interventions at someone based on the problem that they've come to discuss, but until we really firm up the foundation and correct all of that, anything we build on top of that is not going to have its full benefit. So one of the micronutrients I want to talk about today is vitamin D. So vitamin D is known as the sunshine vitamin because everyone understands that vitamin D is synthesized in us when the sun touches our skin. So that sets into motion a process by which the active form of vitamin D that's available at the cellular level is made and can have its effect. But people like me, I'm a fair-skinned redhead, I will have third-degree burns if I go outside at noon with no sunscreen on. So someone like me is going to be pretty dependent on supplements to get my vitamin D levels where they are optimal. Vitamin D is found in pretty good amount in oily fish. That's probably not at the top of a list of someone's preferences. To eat a lot of that in the diet, but also that can be found through supplements, fish oil supplements. So that's another source of a good, useful form of vitamin D. The other thing is that vitamin D helps regulate the absorption of calcium and phosphorus in our gut. So it has a huge impact on our overall bone health. So that's probably why people are most familiar with vitamin D, because it begins to be talked about, especially in menopausal women or perimenopausal women. And oftentimes calcium supplements are suggested, but I don't as often hear that the complementary vitamin D supplement is suggested at the same time. So it's important that when you look at, should I take a supplement? Should I take a vitamin? Which ones are important for me? That we understand that these things all have relationship one to the other. And so it's important to work with a person like me who views you holistically and is wanting to go down and dirty and dig and look at some of this so that we can be sure that your regimen is appropriate as far as dosing and that things are given in consideration of this unique balance, that these micronutrients often work together. Another one that I just want to mention quickly that seems to have a lot of synergy with vitamin D3 is vitamin K2. And if you are at all a person who's interested in staying on top of what the latest and greatest is in the supplement realm, I have a lot of people that come to me that literally walk in my door with grocery sacks full of products. And those people are the ones that are on the internet, they're reading, they're educating themselves. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but I do think that it's important that you bring in someone to sort of counsel and guide you on what's right and what is actually a good quality product. So we're seeing some things. I was reading in preparation to talk to you today and looking into some research that's currently being done, looking at this particular thing with synergy between D3 and K2. And we're studying, because here's the premise. The premise is these two nutrients work well together to direct calcium into the bone. And so you can think, well, yeah, Lucy, that's a good thing. That's where we want our calcium. Exactly, because we know that that is an important part of the bone matrix. But where do we not want calcium? Where we don't want it is depositing in the coronary vessels and contributing to plaque formation. So that's the important thing of using D3 and K2 together. And so I, talk with each patient individually, and we decide based on their age, history, health concerns, and then lab values, what is the right product for them. So some other important roles of vitamin D3, it has a huge impact on immune health. It has anti-inflammatory properties. It is crucial for the activation of immune system defenses. It's known to enhance the function of immune cells, specifically your T cells and your macrophages, which play a huge role in protecting our bodies from foreign invaders, bacteria, viruses, those kinds of things. So these are some things that are probably not as generally talked about is the vitamin D role in bone health. So most people probably don't realize the importance of an optimal vitamin D level when we're speaking about our immune health. Vitamin D has a huge role in gene expression and modulates about 3% of gene transcription in our body. And that's just a fancy word for saying that promotes how our genes are expressed. And a lot of people come to me and they want to talk about that they feel like they have genetic risk for various diseases based on what they've observed in their parents, grandparents, and other family members. And so if we're saying that we're aware that we know some things in our health can be genetic, then if we want our genes to behave well and we want good genes to be turned on and the not so good perhaps variants to be turned off, then D3 plays an important role in all of that. And the last thing I want to mention is that vitamin D3 plays a huge role in how our cells behave. So we want our cells properly proliferating, and then we want them properly dividing, but we also want the cell to know when it needs to stop, and so that we are not at risk for improper cellular behavior that could lead to cancer and other types of diseases. I'm not at all saying that based on the research that I've looked at, there's varying opinions. There's been a lot of research centered around vitamin D3, but I view it as a foundational nutrient that protects my immune system, boosts my overall well-being, and makes me perhaps less susceptible to disease. And it's just one little part of my overall puzzle. So it's certainly not something that I view as just a one-dimensional, that's all I am. So I feel like that needs to be in your mind, that we not hyper-focus on one particular nutrient, but that we're respectful of its role and its synergy with other nutrients, and that you work with someone who understands that and knows the proper labs to order and other proper tests, that we can look deeper into your unique system and to determine what specifically do you personally need. So D is just sort of at the top of my list. The other thing I want to just touch on is quality of a product that you might invest in. A lot of people are beginning to be aware that there's some importance in these micronutrients, and they're wanting to go and buy these things. And I'm excited when I meet someone who's been investigating and trying to take charge of their own health. But what I do want you to be aware of is that quality does absolutely matter. I've done a lot of reading about different companies, different products, and I feel like the products and companies that I tend to gravitate to are high quality, pharmaceutical grade products that we can trust, that whatever the label says it is that is indeed what is found in the product. And I also try to be very sensitive about pricing, because I know most people I take care of, you know, we all have a budget and we don't want half of our income every month to be going to vitamins and supplements. So I try to keep that in mind as well when I'm coming up with a regimen for my patients. So I hope some of this has helped you today. I hope that you understand how complex you are, and that one micronutrient is not what we need to focus on, but we want to look at all of that and that make sure everything is in harmony, one nutrient with the other, and that we're not overcorrecting or undercorrecting in any area. So thank you, and I'll be back later with talking about more of my favorite micronutrients.